Hey everyone, Carla Garrick here, and I am in my office today. I don't know where to look. I feel like I should be looking there, but that feels weird too. So, I am in my office today because today is Saturday, the third Saturday of the month, even though it is the 15th, so it feels too early. It is the third Saturday of the month, which means it is Right to Know New Hampshire and Market Day here at the Quill on the west side of Manchester starting at 2 p.m. So, welcome back. Today is day 319 of My Living Experiment. We are currently streaming on X, on Facebook, and on YouTube Live. And this is my quick update of what is happening in Right to Know New Hampshire landscape. But first, since it was on my table, here is my menu from last night's incredible dinner party. So for those of you following along, I had given out some dinners at my house as part of my contribution to some fundraisers, and I kept up with them over the years, but then last year I didn't finish one and I felt bad about it and been bothering me for a while, and then I owed someone else for this year, and I was like, let us just literally put them all together and have everyone come over. So I had 9 guests last evening for a 4-course meal. Cheeky leaky cold leek salad with a tart and tangy mustard sauce. Then there was Pinky Up butternut. That was served in teacups with some warm spices. Boer Boss Babuati, which is a traditional South African meat and egg curry dish with sultanas, which is served with toasted coconut chutney and ripe bananas in mayo. Don't knock it till you try it. And then last but not least, Bye Bye Apple Pie with baked apples with nuts and vanilla bean ice cream. And then I said, thank you so much for spending time with us. Because that's all we have, guys, in life is we have time, and how we spend it is our lives. So how are you spending your time? I am spending it at doing dinner parties and then having board meetings at 9 a.m. But I'm very grateful to the technology that makes most of that possible, because it's a lot easier doing board meetings in your jammies than it is in getting in a car and having to drive somewhere. So today we're going to do a quick Right to Know update. And then at 2 o'clock, it is Market Day at the Quill over here on the west side of Manchester. While I think of it, also, it is tomorrow at the Prickle, which is the Free Stater Community Center up in Concord. It is, there's a clothing swap happening there. And if you're like, hey, what's happening in the Free State this weekend, this week, today, always go to fsp.org/calendar, and you can find out what's happening all the time. All right, so what is happening with Right to Know? I really don't know where to look. Should this be? I don't know. Sorry, guys. I'm just gonna do that. All right, so Right to Know New Hampshire is our nonpartisan open government advocacy group. We are all over the state. We get together once a month. We try and help people with their right to know requests. We work on some legislation, and then we also are probably going to do, there are a lot of people who work on court cases. There are people who are working in the media. This is actually an area where we have a lot of simpatico with the press. And so we often work together because obviously when you're filing right to knows, you're trying to figure out what's going on so that you can pursue a story. All right, so what is the big swing? I will get to that in a little bit, but first I want to tell you about a couple of bills. So I think we're going to be working on 4 bills for this session. The one is RSA 311. That's actually not a direct right to know bill, but it is a freedom bill. So this is a Freedom to Practice Law Act, where basically we're going to say, hey, Shouldn't other people be able to work more pro se? There is a right to know element there. I still need to go look at the language, but that is one we'll be keeping our eye on. There is the taxpayer investigation bill, which just basically says if taxpayer money is spent on investigating something, then even if that investigation was done by a nonprofit or a non-governmental entity, if it's paid for by taxpayers, we are allowed to see the results. So that actually came about because there was someone who was barred, who was a government employee, who was barred from consulting their own personnel file, and that's where that one came from. There's a body cam act that is we're going to try and amend. I looked at this one. I think the language is going to need some work because to me it seems like it's circular. It's currently let's see, it doesn't have a bill number yet, of course, but basically it's including, so it's saying governmental proceedings mean the transactions of any function affecting any and all citizens of the state by a public body, and includes video and audio recordings created by law enforcement officers and performance of official duties through body-worn cameras, except as limited by RSA 91A5 or other applicable law. But then 91A45 says, I don't think I printed that page out, but basically it makes it circular. So anyway, we gotta fix that one for sure. And then the other one is a very technical bill, and basically it just says that if there is a non-public session, then they have to record the time it started and the time it ended, so that one, you have a sense of how long they were talking, but also have a sense of what was and wasn't on the record. All right, so for Right to Know, in December, Right to Know's meeting will take place on the 13th. So we've moved it up a week. If you're interested in the subject and you would like to get involved, please email me at carlagarrick.com and I will try and loop you in. We are always here to try and help people create a more open and transparent government. What else is coming up? I will have Lori Ortolano, who is a former First Amendment Award winner here in New Hampshire. She has done incredible work down in Nashua, trying to keep Nashua government transparent and sort of follow the money. I'll have her on my show, The Independents, in 2 weeks' time. So definitely look out for that coming up. And I think there's a way to actually frame it in an interesting way. Something I was struck by on today's meeting is how people were lamenting how frustrating it is, because truly government is becoming less and less responsive and less transparent, and we as citizens are losing more and more of our privacy rights, and those two things are not in balance in the correct way. Government is supposed to be open, transparent, accountable, and accessible to the people, and that accountable part is really important, because that is the reason why government needs to be open, is because you can't hold them accountable if you don't know what they're doing. And if they work in secret, which is what they're doing more and more, then we cannot actually hold them accountable. Now, even when we get decisions that say they are accountable, that they have done something wrong, there's usually no true accountability. There are no fines that are paid. No one goes to jail. No one gets wrapped across the knuckles. There really is nothing that happens to them. And this means that nothing changes. So we have an appetite here at Right to Know New Hampshire now to perhaps look at 91A, which has just really perverted the constitutional rights we have under the New Hampshire Constitution, and has created more and more and more exceptions. And I think we at the organization, which is all volunteers, have an appetite to really look at that whole landscape and maybe say we've got to redo it. Let's do a do-over. And I was very heartened at the Josiah Bartlett dinner on Monday night that I ran into State Representative Lisa Freeman. I mean, there were a ton of state reps, and it was great to see everyone. But she and I were talking a little bit about right to know, and she actually said, oh, she thinks it should be totally overhauled, unprompted. And I was like, yay, because we're on the same page, and I agree. So I think we are going to do work there, and it's going to be a big swing. And I'm actually quite interested in seeing if we can even create maybe a platform or a framework that is the way data will be collected in New Hampshire, so that imagine you could have a right to know app on your phone and you could just like search for the things you want to know or immediately get a response. And with the tools that exist today, much like this little conversation here, it is possible. So let's start planning for 2026, 27, 28. Let's put the right systems and protocols and processes in place to constantly be making New Hampshire the best state with the best state governance, which means what? Limited, low taxes, living within the government's means, no debt, and all of those things. And to the extent that those things cannot be accomplished, privatizing and letting the market and free people transact and work directly with each other. All right, so that's all I got for today. Kind of exhausted. I'm glad I have only one more function today, which is market day over at the Cool starting at 2 p.m. I saw posts saying there is going to be, of course, Emily from Bardo Farm will be there. I use all my meats come from Bardo Farm or are locally sourced from other people. In fact, the Bua Boss Babuiti from last night was Bardo meat, and everyone thought it was very delicious. Everyone signed my guest book and said very nice things about the meal, and that's why I'm tired, I suppose. All right, I'm gonna get out of here, guys, because otherwise I'm just gonna ramble. But anyone following Right to Know's December event will take place on the 13th, and then we'll be back to the third Saturday in the new year. If you want to get involved, please reach out to me. You can either write to know New Hampshire with 2 T's, Right to Know New Hampshire at gmail.com, or Carla at carlagarrett.com, and I can take it from there. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. I will see everyone back here tomorrow for day 320 of My Living Experiment. Today was 319. And if you're wondering what's happening in the Great Free State, go to fsp.org and sign up for everything. All right, thanks, guys.